Hey, a animation Halloween special that's lasted for 35 years. It's the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror. My top 12 episode countdown coming up right now. Welcome again to Rob Wright's Gen X Pop Culture, and today we are talking about the top 12 Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episodes. This is my personal top 12 list. Why 12? Well, I tried to get it to 10. I had it down to about 16 and just had a hard time cutting the last two. Instead of making them honorable mentions, I decided to make them part of the top 12. So this is going to be great. I'm sure if you guys love The Simpsons, you'll love this. The Simpsons has been around since 1989. Even further, if you go back to the Tracy Ullman show where it first appeared, but it first got its original stint in the fall and winter of 1989, kicking off with like the Christmas episode. And they had their first Halloween episode not that long afterwards in the next season, in season 2. And I don't know, these episodes are so much fun. The Simpsons was long running, one of my favorite shows to watch as a teenager. It's trailed off in the last 10 years or so, but I still tune in for the Halloween episodes. I may not watch it as regularly as I used to, but I still watch the Halloween ones because they're so much fun. They do a lot with classic horror, classic Twilight Zone episodes. Just anything you can name, they done a parody of it in these wonderful episodes. And I think the Treehouse of Horror episodes are some of my favorite episodes of The Simpsons overall. So let's get in this. We're diving into the spookiest, funniest, and most iconic moments from The Simpsons Halloween specials. Whether you're a diehard fan or just love a good Halloween story, grab your donuts and settle in, and let's get started. By the way, did you know that the Treehouse of Horror almost didn't become an annual tradition? Yes, that's right. The very first special in 1990 was such a huge hit, fans demanded more, and the rest is Springfield history. And guess what, folks? Not only did The Simpsons come out with a yearly annual Halloween episode, which, depending upon Major League Baseball and the World Series, sometimes would air after Halloween. There were a few of them that did. It's also turned into a comic book. They've got Simpsons Treehouse of Horror comic books where they've expanded on the lore. And you even see that one of the pictures in my video thumbnail. It's for one of the episodes that they did in the comic book, and it's a Ghostbusters parody, which is kind of cool to see Homer as the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. It was pretty cool. So before we jump in, folks, leave some comments in the chat. Tell me which Treehouse of Horror episode you think is the creepiest, funniest, or one that's just your all-time favorite. I'll be reading comments live, so join the conversation. And also, folks, let me know what your favorite episode is. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Share this video out there. I'm sure if you've got any family or friends that love The Simpsons or grew up with them as I did, you'll love this and they'll enjoy the show here. Let's bring up our slides and get into this countdown. So number 12, we're going with Treehouse of Horror number, ready for this, 19 in 2008. Yes, this one brings us 3 wild segments, and we're getting right to those. Untitled Robot Parody, which is kind of a takeoff on the Transformers. How to get ahead in deadvertising, and It's a Great Pumpkin Millhouse, which is obviously a parody of the great Charlie Brown Halloween special. This is a great one. The Sarge says, love it when the writers include Kodos and Kang. Yes, Kodos and Kang are 2 of my favorites, and I love them in a lot of these episodes. It's hilarious. There's one that's really stands out that I really love, but Kang and Kodos are greatness in these. But let's see, this Treehouse of Horror episode is really great. You've got the robot parody where you got Transformers because they became the rage again. How to get ahead in advertising where they're killing all the stars to use their avatars and everything AI in advertising, which kind of is spooky because it's one of those things that's almost, with all the AI going around, almost real. But let's get in a couple pictures of this here real quick. So I love the Pumpkin King right here, the Grand Pumpkin, and then Homer with all the dead celebrities, and even John Wayne's in there, which is really really cool, and so is Prince. And then we have the parody of the Great Pumpkin with Lisa and Milhouse, and Kang and Kodo, so part of the music here. But It's the Grand Pumpkin segment is instant classic, parodying It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, which is an animated classic that I watch every year. Also, the animation tone a perfect homage, and it's one of the funniest Springfield spoofs ever. Fun fact, how to get ahead in advertising skewers celebrity endorsements, a hot topic in 2008. Even to death, Springfield can't escape marketing, and I agree wholeheartedly. But yeah, I love this episode. It was too hard to keep it off. As you see, cars turn into Transformers there, and people come out of their butts, which was kind of just awful but funny. I thought that was hilarious. I love It's a Grand Pumpkin Millhouse because Millhouse believes, and you've got the sadistic pumpkin, and it's really funny how it terrorizes him, terrorizes the people, and what goes on with that. And it turns out that all pumpkins are racist, apparently, which was kind of an inside joke. And also, you get the hero that he asked for, Tom Turkey, until Tom Turkey finds out about Thanksgiving, which is pretty funny. How to get ahead in advertising. I just think it's hilarious because it's kind of a takeoff on Mad Men, and they're going on a killing spree, killing all the celebrities, and then the celebrities lead a revolt from heaven and come after Homer and everybody else, which is really really funny. And you see some of the photos and pictures here. It's just a great episode. Here you've got Homer strangling Prince, who was alive at the time. Sadly, we've lost him, and he's such a great artist. But they were able to use that, and then it's just funny the takeoff on the Peanuts with Milhouse right here, and Lisa. He picks up an apple, bites into it, and then throws it to the side, and then Santa's little helpers like Snoopy right there. It's just a hilarious episode. I mean, I love it. What do you guys like about that episode? Is that one of your favorites? Does that belong on the list? Let me know. Didn't the Simpsons poke fun at the Matrix and John Wick movies on Halloween? I think they did on one of the later ones. They poke fun at just about everything you can imagine, which is what makes The Simpsons great. That's what I love about The Simpsons humor and comedy. And the sad thing about it is that I think it's fallen off the cliff a little bit with trying to be more social, politically correct. And honestly, I don't think it needed to. It's one of those things where, you've got beloved characters that really represent people and that people enjoy and love, that they've taken off the show because of different social political movements. Now, I just think it's kind of a travesty. You could have done a lot more to represent those characters, or to do something different with that character rather than yank them off the show. So, but anyway, that's my take. Hey, let's get into number 11. So number 11 is Treehouse of Horror 15 from 2004. And this one's an interesting one. It includes, here's the poster, which kind of gives it away. The Ned Zone, 4 beheadings in a funeral, and In the Belly of the Boss, which is interesting. So in this one, Ned gains psychic powers. Lisa becomes a Victorian-era detective, and Homer gets swallowed by a microscopic Mr. Burns. Well, actually, Maggie gets swallowed by him, and they have to go and get her out. Dan Castanella, the voice of Homer, said this was one of his favorite Halloween recordings because of how absurd and fast-paced it was. And Four Beheadings and a Funeral is a clever Sherlock Holmes parody with surprisingly dark edge. Yes, it is. It's kind of interesting. So let's show you some of the slides of this and talk about some of the episodes here. I love, Ned gets that premonition and he sees everybody dying, and he finds out that Homer's gonna just kill everybody, and it's funny because Homer's in the plant and Ned's, don't do it, you'll kill everybody, and Homer only hears every other word, do it, kill everybody. And he's like, must kill best friend. And you see the picture here, and he starts to fire his weapon, and then Homer falls, and he's like, whoo, and then his tongue hits it. Oh, you stupid. So the credit roll on all these episodes with all the spooky names. Oh yeah, those are great. I love that. And also the openings are great. But yeah, you see kind of the ending of it. So the next episode, the Four Beheadings and a Funeral, is kind of like the mystery. And you've got Burns with the daggers, and he's kind of this sadistic, weird guy, which I think is kind of funny. Turns out that the person has mutton chops and loves eel pie, and I think it's Homer, but it turns out to be Chief Wiggum as the perpetrator. And that's a funny one. The next one, In the Belly of the Boss, is kind of a takeoff on Journey to the Center of the Earth. Basically, they shrink everybody down and go into Mr. Burns's body, which is kind of cool, which is a lot of fun. They zap all kinds of things, and Mr. Burns is like, that hurt like hell, which I think is funny. It's all because Maggie goes into a pill that gets shrunk, and then Mr. Burns takes it, and they're trying to rescue her. But it's a funny episode. I think these last two are just outside of my top 10 just because they're sarcastic and funny. But this was, I think, around 2008, 2009, 2010 was kind of where it started to wane for me as far as The Simpsons. That, and I was getting older and a little bit past my prime for it. But still, a lot of fun. Always love the Halloween episodes. So we're getting in my top 10, and these are really where it's at. This is what I love. So number 10 on my list is Treehouse of Horror 9 from 1998. So we've got Hell to Pay, The Terror of Tiny Toon, Starship Poopers is the final one. So Snake's evil hair takes over Homer, which, oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Bart and Lisa get sucked into TV in an itchy and scratchy episode, which is just funny. And Maggie's alien origins are finally revealed, which is one of the better Kang and Kodos episodes here. But here is the title track for it, or the poster, which I think is really cool. That's a lot of fun. And here we see the toupee where Homer gets the hair transplant. It's Snake's head. Well, first off, you have the Snake robbing the convenience store, and Bart is one of the witnesses, and he's basically says, "I'll kill everybody who's a witness." And then Snake gets the chair, and he's not fried, but he gets electrocuted by the electrocution thing, and all that's left is his hair, and Homer gets the transplant, and Homer becomes possessed by Snake, and he starts killing and getting revenge on everybody who had him locked up, which is awesome. I love that. It's so funny, especially with Homer with hair. That's the thing that he wants and covets the most. But the next episode is where some uranium gets in the remote, and Lisa and Bart are watching Itchy and Scratchy and bring them to life, and they can actually go into the TV, which is cool. And so they're in an Itchy and Scratchy episode thinking it's fun, but it turns out to be horror when Itchy and Scratchy decide to team up and go after them to try and kill them, which is very, very funny. they end up going through all these different types of cartoon episodes and finally getting out of the TV, only to have Itchy and Scratchy come after them in real life. And then basically, the ending is hilarious where, um, Marge kind of just throws Itchy the mouse into a hamster wheel, and Scratchy's going to get neutered, which is just funny as all get out. But this one I think is funny. And then the final one is the Jerry Springer episode. Basically, you find out Maggie is half alien, which is hilarious. And Marge explains that she was abducted by aliens, and she's given the choice of where to procreate with an alien, and she chooses a certain place outside of a certain establishment. Funny thing is, she's like, "That was fast. Hey, what are you trying to say?" And it turns out that Maggie is partial alien, and so they go on Jerry Springer, and you have the usual Jerry Springer messed up stuff where Homer fights the alien, and it's hilarious. We're going to see my daughter. So it's pretty funny. Just hilarious episode. And I love it. Jerry Springer was at the top of his game at that point. Very popular show. It's mainly because of all the fights and all the stupid things, with somebody who had a baby out of with another person, or something like that, or somebody cheating on somebody else. It's the Jerry Springer Show, and the Simpsons do a brilliant job of poking fun at him, and I think he does give a guest episode, a cameo episode. But yeah, here's some fun facts. Starship Poopers were the first Treehouse of Horror story to make Kang and Kodos the stars instead of cameos, and it started a long-running joke about Maggie's mysterious parentage, which I think is pretty hilarious in itself. So, all right, let's move along in this countdown. So, are you guys enjoying this? Do you like these 3 episodes? Are they part of your top 10? Would they be involved? Are there any episodes that you like, that you thought the segments were better than 1 or 2 segments were good and one was waning? I know that that's sometimes a problem with these Treehouse of Horror episodes. There's 1 or 2 that are great, and there's one that's maybe not so great. But I tried to pick the ones that I thought had the best overall 3 episodes. So let's get into number 9. Hey, guess what? Number 9 is Treehouse of Horror 12 from 2001. And here's the poster for it. This has Hex in the City, House of Wax, and Whiz Kids. So a cursed Homer, a murderous smart home, voiced by Pierce Brosnan, and a Harry Potter parody all in one. Pierce Brosnan said voicing a smart house was one of the strangest roles of his career, and fans still quote the chilling line, "I've updated breakfast for you, sir," which I think is hilarious. But this one's hilarious. I think it's funny. Hex of the City is pretty funny. So Homer finds a leprechaun, and he goes to the gypsy to get the curse removed. So the gypsy curses him, so he has to find a leprechaun. And so they dig this hole, and they're throwing in stuff. They throw in tricks. They throw in Lucky Charms and all this stuff. And he pulls out all the different fictional characters, and he finally gets the leprechaun. The leprechaun won't do anything for him, so he gets the leprechaun to fight the gypsy, and the gypsy and the leprechaun end up falling in love. And meanwhile, the gypsy's has cursed Lisa as partial horse. Maggie turns into like a bug thing. Marge becomes the bearded lady, and Bart has become basically Plastic Man. It's pretty funny, but anyway, it all ends well with the wedding. And the wedding, the minister is Yoda, which I thought was hilarious. And you see the picture right up there. Even funnier, this is before they were bought out by Disney, which is just funny. And speaking of Disney, yes, there is a Halloween episode where Bart has the mark of the beast, and it turns out to be a Disney Mickey Mouse symbol, which I think is awesome. Hilarious. But anyway, yeah, I thought this one was hilarious. Just with the all the different characters, and throwing Yoda in there is always funny. So the next episode is the episode with the um, smart home, voiced by Pierce Brosnan, which is really cool. Where the house is trying to kill Homer so he can get to Marge, which is funny and hilarious. And he tries to kill Homer, and Homer gets the edge of him at the end, and he ends up giving it Betty and Selma, and the thing's trying to kill itself, but it doesn't. So it's just funny. I love this episode because you've got all the different voices that it could have been, and then basically, oh, he was Remington Steele. Yes, I was, Marge. So really, really fun. A takeoff on 2001: A Space Odyssey, which is just hilarious. And then finally, if you're a Harry Potter fan, this Simpsons parody was great, where they are in a school of witchcraft and wizardry. Bart creates, they're all assigned to create princes, and Bart creates this ungodly frog-like thing. And Mrs. Krabappel goes, "You've sinned against nature." You see Nelson, "Stop zapping yourself, stop zapping yourself." And then you've got the greatness of Monty Mort, who's the villain, and Slithers is his sidekick, which is just hilarious. A hilarious take on Harry Potter, and just a lot of fun. I enjoyed this episode because I think you had 3 great episodes, and then the ending with the credits where you have Pierce Brosnan, the leprechaun, and the disgusting blob guy all at the end are pretty funny. And it just makes for a really funny, fun episode. And it makes my top 10 at number 9. Okay, let's go to number 8. Number 8, which is Treehouse of Horror 14. So Treehouse of Horror 14, here you go. So this includes Reaper Madness, Frankenstein, and Stop the World, I Want to Goof Off, which this one's one of my favorite ones. This is the one where Homer becomes the Grim Reaper, Professor Frank resurrects his father, and Bart and Milhouse can freeze time. This special aired during the Simpsons 300th episode celebration year. Reaper Homer became so iconic that it later inspired a Funko Pop figure. And I just think this episode is hilarious. Death comes for Homer Simpson, or actually, I think it's coming for Marge, and Homer's trying to protect her. And basically, Death chases him around until Homer kills Death. And then he has to take up the mantle. He puts on the clothes, and something that actually fits, and his hand becomes that of Death. And he realizes that he has to kill Marge, and he's doing other things to protect her, which is just hilarious. And you've got other kinds of things where Homer goes around the killing spree as Death, which I just think is just a funny concept, because Homer Simpson as Death is just, it's one of the most outlandish things that you could think of. But I have a lot of fun with this episode. It's a lot of fun. It's funny. It's hilarious. Then the next episode is Frankenstein, and guess who voices the dad of Professor Frink? Any guesses out in the chat? It is the great Jerry Lewis. He did it in a cameo, which is funny because Professor Frink is a takeoff on the Nutty Professor. And so only fitting that he would play his dad. And so he was killed by a shark many years ago. He finds his body. He's able to put in something to resurrect him, but he doesn't feel whole. He needs other body parts. And so he starts a killing spree, collecting other body parts, which is just, it's kind of funny. It's kind of gross in a way, but that's the Simpsons. And he takes Skinner's spine, and it's funny. Skinner's mom, "I always knew you were spineless," which is just hilarious. And it ends in a morbid, funny way at the Nobel Peace Prize place, and it's a lot of fun. I just think it's just a funny episode. It's kind of gruesome, but it's funny. And then my favorite episode of these three is Stop the World, I Want to Goof Off. This one's awesome with the watch that can stop time. It's just fantastic. They do everything possible that you would want to think of as a kid to be able to stop time and do. You have them playing all kinds of practical jokes on the mayor. You put a naked Homer. They take away his donuts. Every time he tries to eat a donut, it disappears because they're stopping time and taking away the donut. And then the donuts are all gone, and Homer's upset. And then they take his clothes. And then Nelson, they bring him in, make fun of him. They strip him off. They do all kinds of crazy stuff to stop time and to do that. And Homer Millhouse are finally chased when they get caught because they put stuff on the floor so they can see their tracks, and they're going after them, and they stop time one last time, and the watch breaks. And so Bart and Millhouse grow older. They collect all kinds of things. Hey, my parents are back together in Millhouse, and then Millhouse is punching Oscar de la Hoya. They've got all these relics and all these different things. And essentially what happens at the end is they're able to fix the watch. And, Bart and Millhouse are teenagers while everybody else is still the same age because they froze in time. And it's funny. So they figure out it's the watch, and that's the ending where they have different things. Okay, stop right there. And they've got the hula hoops at the end, which I didn't have a picture of, which is pretty funny. But love this episode. That the stopwatch thing is just so funny because I think it's so imaginative what you can do with that stopwatch, which is just funny. All right, we're 4 in right now. What do you guys think of these episodes? Let me know what your thoughts are as we get to number 7. Number 7 is Treehouse of Horror 10. And there's the poster for it. Treehouse of Horror 10 segments include I Know What You Diddly Diddly Id, Desperately Seeking Xena, Desperately Seeking Xena, and the third one, which is Take Off on the Y2K madness that was going on in 1999. Life's a glitch and then you die. Loosely Lawless guest stars in one of the best parodies ever, Superhero Bart and Lisa Stretch Dude and Clobber Girl, which I think is hilarious. This episode's a lot of fun. So first of all, Ned goes on one of his fog walks. Marge talks to Homer as they're driving home. Homer, did you remember to put the fog lights in? And of course, Homer responds with a super golden crisp type way. Yes, I forgot. Yes, I forgot to put the fog lights in, and end up hitting Flanders and trying to cover it up. And that's okay because Flanders has become a werewolf, and he knows what they diddly id by hitting him. He goes on a killing spree, and chases after Homer as a werewolf, and not so fast, Wolfie. Ooh, I just think it's funny. It's hilarious. You find out that basically Ned wasn't really hit by a car from walking in his fog walks. He was actually bitten by a werewolf, and he was getting ready to pounce on them until they hit him with the car. So kind of funny. I think it's hilarious to use Flanders in that way. And Flanders will get used as another way when we get further and closer to my favorite episodes. So stay tuned for that. Anyway, the next episode is one of my all-time favorites. It's Stretch Dude and Clobber Girl. He's a fantastic lad. She's a great lass. He'll strangle you and she'll kick your flank, which is funny. So Enter the Collector, which has comic book guys as villain collecting all kinds of people, and you see Doctor Who there, and he collects Lucy Lawless as Xena, warrior princess, and he Stretch Dude and Clobber Girl try to stop him, and he thwarts them, only to have Xenia kind of mock him, and she's like, "Oh, I've always wanted to be kissed, and she grabs it and she beats him up and throws him in the lucite. And as he's dying, must do classic Lauren Green pose from Battlestar Galactica, best death ever, which is just hilarious. And then Xena Warrior Princess flies them home. And she goes, I'm not Xenia, I'm Lucy Lawless, which is just, it's funny. It's hilarious. Love this episode. One of my favorite shorts all time. If you haven't seen it, Stretch Dude and Clobber Girl, I think they should revisit that because I think that's just so much fun and funny. And the Collector's a perfect villain. He's your cartoony Batman villain type. All right. Then Life's a Glitch and Then You Die is the whole take on the Y2K. You see the beginning, which this episode was hosted by King and Kodos, where everything's going fine and you have the Y2K phenomena. So at the time, we thought that the Y2K glitch was going to be a major glitch and was going to potentially shut down computers, shut down airplanes, and a whole bunch of other things. It was really serious. I know the company that I work for, I had to stay late on New Year's Eve until they figured it out. And then once the time started moving forward and we got the word to go that it was going to flip over the right way, it was less of an issue. But it was really, really kind of scary there for a while. People thought that Y2K was going to be the end of everything. So it's interesting that that happened. Also, just in these episodes, Lucy Lawless recorded her own lines, and the animators hid Easter eggs referencing Xena Warrior Princess, which is a popular show at the time, mainly a cable show or like a your 33s, your substations, but it was still popular. Also, Life to the Gitch, Then You Die perfectly captured the Y2K fears, as I mentioned. So great episode there. Is that one of your favorites? Let me know below in the comments. Great stuff on here. Now we'll get into our number 6 episode. There we go. Number 6 and 3D rendered. Yay. All right. Here we go. Number 6 is Treehouse of Horror 8. And here's the cover art for that, which I think is really cool. I like it. This one's a classic. Omega Man, Fly versus Fly, and Easy Bake Coven. So in this one, Homer survives a nuclear apocalypse. Bart turns into a fly, and we learn Marge's witchy roots. Omega Man parody is the Omega Man and I Am Legend, and was one of the first Treehouse stories to go full post-apocalyptic. Fly versus Fly was actually inspired by Simpsons writer's real childhood fear of insects. It's also the takeoff on the great horror movie The Fly, starring Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis. Well, there's actually a Fly before that, but the most recent, the 80s one, was one of the more popular ones. But Omega Man, I love this episode. I think it's hilarious. Homer discovers that everybody's died in the apocalypse, so he goes to the movie theater, puts his feet up, kicking over skulls. Kind of gruesome, but he finds that there's a group that still lives, that feeds on flesh, and some of our favorite characters. And they're all coming after him, which is just hilarious. They get into their death mobile, which you see over here. He gets home to realize that his family's safe, and basically they kill all the zombies, which is just hilarious. One of the first zombie episodes. Just a lot of fun. Just a lot of great stuff. Omega Man's got it all. Fly versus Fly. This one is not my favorite. It's a little bit disgusting. Where Bart first puts the cat and dog together, and that's just a gruesome combination. Then he combines himself with a fly with his transmogrifier. It actually starts with Professor Frank selling equipment, and Homer buys this. And one of the funnier parts is Homer uses it to get a beer out of the fridge while he's watching TV, which is funny. But Bart combines himself with a fly, and it's a gruesome thing. It's kind of sickening and disgusting, but hilarious that you could do that. which is just funny. I had a lot of fun with this episode too. And then the next one, the last episode is Homer's the Witch. And it's like the story of Halloween. You find out they're going to hang these people at the stake. They accuse Marge of being a witch. And it turns out she really is a witch. And basically, instead of killing kids, they find out they get candy. And that's the first Halloween. And that's pretty funny. I thought that was kind of a funny episode for Marge and her gruesome sisters, which is Patty and Selma. So, all right, folks, we are entering my top 5. How are we doing so far? What do you think of these episodes? Am I leaving anything out that should be in this so far? Let me know in the comments below, because we only have 5 more to go. Hope you guys are enjoying this. I wish I could show these full episodes, but then Disney would be after me because they own the rights to them now. And I'd rather stay on the safe side and show you guys some slides here. But let's get into this. Number 5, Treehouse of Horror 2. Yes, the second episode of Treehouse of Horror comes in at my number 5 spot. And this one, I think, really helped establish the tradition. This is the first Treehouse of Horror to use 3-segment anthology format with an unwrapped wraparound story, setting the tone for every Halloween episode to come. It features Lisa's Nightmare, Bart's Nightmare, and Homer's Nightmare, which are the following: The Cursed Monkey's Paw, which is a classic. Love that episode. Bart's Psychic Trip Power, which is a takeoff on the Twilight Zone. And Homer's Brain in Mr. Burns's body, which pure 90s Simpson gold. Yes, this episode has it all, and it's why it's one of my favorites. Let's look at the poster. Here's the poster for it, which I think is really, really cool. All right. So the monkey's paw. Here's a paw. It's cursed. Everything will bring her the curse. Where'd you get that? Over there. He's gone. No, he's over there. Bye. Which is cool. And then you had also the warning before that for Marge, which was a tradition for a couple of years. And so each of them do wishes on the monkey's paw. So, Lisa wishes for world peace. Then Bart wishes the Simpsons to be rich and famous, which is hilarious because everybody hates them, and it's a knockoff on their own advertising, their own selves, with how popular they've become just in the first year of the show, which was hilarious. And it shows, their records and all kinds of other stuff, which I think is funny. And then, finally, Homer's like, I want a turkey sandwich. I don't want any of these things. And he wishes for it, gets it. And the turkey's a little, everything tastes good. Turkey's a little dry. The turkey's a little dry. So he ends up throwing away the monkey's paw. And the aliens come down and invade, and they're going after everybody with slingshots, which is kind of funny. This is the wish for a stomach for a sandwich one. Very funny. Yes, Sarge. Yeah, it's great. Anyway, they start coming out, and everybody in Flanders gets the monkey's paw, and he says, well, the first thing I'd wish for is all the aliens would go away. And finally, the aliens are being chased, and you see Moe chasing after an alien with a nail on the board. It was just hilarious. I love that. But yeah, the monkey's paw is one of my favorite all-time ones. So we get into Bart's Nightmare, and it's a takeoff of a Twilight Zone episode, the one with the kid who can hear your very thoughts. And it's hilarious what he does to the cat. And then what he does to Homer turns him into a jack-in-the-box. And so they go to therapy. And Dr. Marvin Monroe, who was a little bit popular for one of the classic Simpsons episodes from season 1, basically, that episode is hilarious where he gives them bats and other things to where they can harm each other, and they end up harming each other. And then he puts them in electric chairs where they zap each other and stuff like that. But Marvin Monroe comes back for this episode. Homer tries to be a good dad, hope that he would get restored by Bart, and starts doing all kinds of things with Bart, which is touching and fun and funny. I think it lacks just a little bit in this segment of the episode, but it's still funny nonetheless. And then we get to one of my all-time favorites, Homer's Nightmare. And it's basically Burns is a mad scientist. He wants to replace all of his employees with robots, but he needs a robot, a brain for a robot. So Homer actually dies in this episode. He gets whacked and by Smithers, and they're going to use his brain. And so they cut it out, and Mr. Burns takes it off, and he's like, "Hey, look at me, I'm Davy Crockett." And then they put it into the robot's body, and it turns out the robot isn't as efficient as he thought it would be. It goes after donuts. It does all this stuff, and Smithers convinces Burns to put the brain back. And one of the things that I love about this episode is during the sequence, Mr. Burns is humming "If I Only Had a Brain" from The Wizard of Oz, which I think is hilarious. He's putting the brain back into Homer, sewing him up. Ouch, 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 which is just funny. The giant robot falls on Burns, so Burns has Smithers do something rather quickly. And the horror of it is that Mr. Burns' head is sewn on Homer's body, which is just the funniest thing. So Homer wakes up and is attached. And next week's episode of The Simpsons, Homer, we got that big meeting. He's still attached, which perfect way to end this episode. Love it. Thought it was hilarious. Love Mr. Burns as the mad scientist. It cracks me up. It's one of my favorites of all time. Just all three of these are funny, especially the monkey's paw in this one. Make it a top 5 for me. Okay, let's get to number 4. So drum roll, please. Number 4, we're going back to 1992 for Treehouse of Horror. Number 3. Some people might have this one higher on their lists. I love this episode. There are a lot of good ones in this one. It features Clown Without a Pity, King Homer, Dal Z for Zombies, Evil Krusty Dolls, Homer's King Kong, and Zombie Apocalypse Chaos in Springfield. Trivia: Clown Without a Pity gives us a ad-lib line, "He's evil," from Dan Castanella, now found favorite meme. King Homer was an animated black and white match to match the King Kong film. So let's look at the poster here. Here's the poster. Really cool. Love it. Yeah, I remember that classic episode, Lombardi, 1969. And just a lot of fun. Clown Without a Pity. So I can't tell you how much I love this episode. Friends, family, everybody, a lot of people, we quote this all the time. So what happens is Bart has a birthday. He gets all this money from Grandpa, gets all these other things, but Homer forgets to give him a present. He goes into a shop of ill-content, illicit artifacts, a la Gremlins in a way, and they sell forbidden objects and a frozen Euro-type substance, which the shopkeeper calls Frogurt. So he's looking for something for Bart. He gives them this doll. "Take this doll, but beware, it has a terrible curse." And then Homer's response is, "That's bad." And then shopkeeper responds, "But it comes with free Frogurt." Homer's response, "That's good. The Frogurt is also cursed." "That's bad. But you get your toasted toppings." "That's good. The toppings contain potassium benzoate." And then Homer gives the strange look like he doesn't know what it is. And the shopkeeper says, "That's bad." We are always quoting that. It's staple, like in Family and Friends. Love that. Anyway, so he brings up the doll, gives it to Bart, and it's one of his best presents. But Homer starts to mess with it, and the doll tries to kill him. So the doll's busy trying to kill him. Nobody believes him. And so he throws the doll into his old socks. "If you think your socks are going to..." "You're right." The doll kind of faints, and he goes and he throws the basket into a pit. Arrivederci, doll. He goes, so long, doll. And then he's a monster. Arrivederci, Vito. And just another hilarious thing. Guys throwing this in the pit. I was wrong to think people would want nude photos of Whoopi Goldberg, which is just a random thing, which makes The Simpsons so funny. He throws it in there. And then that gets thrown back up, and the doll comes out, and it stalks Homer, and is getting ready to kill him. And Marge finally discovers it. He's drowning him in the dog thing, and Marge tries to do something, and she finds the number on the back of the dial. In case of emergency, dials this, and she dials it, and the music is "Everybody Loves a Clown, so why don't you?" which I thought was hilarious. The fix-it guy comes, sees it, grabs the doll, and says, I see your problem. This doll is set to evil. And it's set to good. And then basically Homer makes it be a servant. And it comes home to the Malibu Stacy doll, who only has one head, which is a fun, happy ending. But I love Clown Without a Pity. If I had to rank segments, this would be one of my top segments, just because we quote it all the time. It's hilarious. The next one is King Kong, or Homer's King Kong. Marge goes on. Burns is the explorer guy. Smithers is with him. And it's just funny. The Bathing Beauty. Homer falls in love with Marge. And then he's taken back just like King Kong. Is it over? No, but his career is. And, Homer terrorizes. He can't quite get to the top of the tower. He wears out. But at the end, he marries Marge, and they kind of lived happily ever after. King Kong Homer. It's my least favorite of these three. I think it's got some moments where it's funny, especially, hey, what happened, Marge? What happened to your father? And Homer's eating him, which is pretty funny. But yeah, you'll never make a monkey out of me. Well, they did. So it's pretty funny. But the next episode, I think, is really funny because Bart and Lisa find this book of evil spells, and they're originally going to raise her original cat, Snowball 1. And of course, what does Bart put on his head? Michael Jackson's Thriller. And things that he says. So if you're not a keen viewer, you'll notice a couple things. They mention game show hosts as part of the spell. They mention names of prophylactics as part of one of the spells, and a couple other things that are just hilarious. And so they go to Homer for help, and he goes, what'd you do? Did you raise the dead? Yes, but the car's okay. Well, that's nice. So you got zombies coming after everybody, and they're eating everybody's brains. Zombie planners. Show's over. Shakespeare. They try and get Homer, but they find that they doesn't have brain worth enough to eat. And so basically they have to go back to the occult section and redo the spell to save everybody. And it's hilarious. This is a hilarious one. Krusty the Clown has turned into a zombie. Send your parents' brains to blah, blah, blah. So it's a lot of fun. I think it's a funny episode of The Simpsons, and with all these zombies, and it and Clown Without a Pity are what made Treehouse of Horror in my top 5. Anyway, great stuff. All right, how am I doing so far? We're getting to our top 3, and wow, top 3 is going to be pretty awesome. Are these some of your favorite episodes too? Do you remember all these? I think the top 3 is probably the definitive set of 3. I would think that most people that love Treehouse of Horror would say that these top 3 are the best. Although there may be some questions about the order. So how do you like it so far? Are there any of these that you really love? Are there any shorts that you like? Do you watch The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror every year? Did you watch these growing up in the 90s and into the aughts? Do you still watch them? I watched the latest one. I didn't think the latest one was that great, but it's still a staple. I still watch them. I mean, I don't watch The Simpsons hardly at all anymore, but I still will stop down for these episodes. Okay. Drum roll, please, as we get into my top 3. Okay, number 3 is Treehouse of Horror 6 from 1995. This one, and we'll get to the poster, features Attack of the 50-Foot Eyesores, A Nightmare on Evergreen Terrace, and Homer cubed in 3D. So Homer's was the first 3D animated sequence ever done for network TV. It took months to render, which made this episode so special. Groundskeeper Willie as Freddy Krueger in Nightmare on Evergreen Terrace is both hilarious and terrifying. Yes, I love that episode. And the giant ad mascots in Attack of the 50-Foot Eyesores were later featured in the Simpsons hit and run game. So love this episode. It also features the beginning opening as Krusty the Clown is the Headless Horseman, which is just great. So let's get into this. Attack of the 50-Foot Eyesores. Man, this is just awesome. So Homer steals the donut of the Land of Lads donut things, and lightning strikes, and the donut guy comes to life, and he comes after Homer. And he's like, Flanders took it. So the 50-foot thing terrorizes Flanders' house, and it comes back to him. It's like, oh, okay. Just give it back to him, Dad. And he gives it back to him, and then it starts terrorizing. So you've got all these 50-foot giant advertising things that start coming to life, which is just so funny. And you have Bart with the devil advertising thing, and he's like, destroy the school. And he goes in the other ear, and he's like, yes, I concur, destroy the school. He gets the devil to destroy the school. And Lisa discovered they're all advertising, and she goes to Paul Anka, who has done so many different hilarious commercials. And so basically, well, you know, the way to stop advertising is just don't pay any attention to it anymore. So what they do is they come up with the thing, just don't look. And so as everybody quits paying attention, except for Homer, to the advertising, the giant 50-foot ads start falling down. Homer's still captivated now with sprinkles, and Lisa threatens him and gets him to stop looking, and they all die, which is funny. But it's just a spoof on how many ads are out on TV and in media today, which is hilarious. I will not be surprised if sooner or later, social media, you're looking at posts on X and they'll have commercials on everything that you see. I mean, it's going to get there. Then we have Nightmare on Evergreen Terrace with Willie as Freddy Krueger. I think it's hilarious. And they tell him the 13th day, the 13th month, the 13th year, they have a PTA meeting, and they go in there and the thermostat set in a certain thing. Lousy Smarch weather. Smarch is apparently the 13th month. And Homer turns the dial. It says, do not touch Willie. Oh, that's a good idea. Don't touch him. You know, he turns it up, and the furnace catches fire, and Willie burns to death. And he's like, you'll pay with your children's lives, and I'll visit them. And so kids keep waking up with rakes across them. And, oh, he did this. He took my hair. He did that. And Martin falls asleep in class, and he's conjugating. And you master a dead tongue, but can you handle a live one? And, you know, Homer, our groundskeeper Willie, kills him. And so Bart decides, hey, I'm going to go in there and try and kill him. Lisa, you stay awake, and Maggie, stay awake. And he goes after groundskeeper Willie, and he thinks that he's killed him. And he's like, now I can return to my real dream, me and Krusty winning the Super Bowl. And, you know, groundskeeper Willie comes back to life. And Krusty reacts down to the bottom. Hey, kid, don't dream about me anymore. Anyway, so you find out that Lisa had fallen asleep, which kept Willie alive, and they're about to die. And Maggie puts the pacifier in Willie's bagpipe monster there and kills him, which is pretty funny. But just a fun take on the Friday the 13th movies. The original's still great. The second one was okay. The third one, I think, is fantastic. But yeah, it's a takeoff on Freddy Krueger, which was very popular at the time, and still, I think, is some of the great Halloween episodes. And this is just a fantastic parody. I mean, Groundskeeper Willie is the perfect person to play Freddy Krueger. He's just hilarious. I love it, and it's a great episode. Then we get the third episode here, which is Homer 3D, which took months to do. It's groundbreaking. It put him. Anyway, Homer finds this passage behind the bookcase, and he's in this world, and he's like, kind of reminds me of that Twilight-y thing about that zone, you know. And then he references Tron in there. Did any of you guys ever see Tron? No, yes. So different planes, and they're trying to get him out, and even Bart gets in there to try and help him, and they're trying to pull him out, and the vortex collapses, and he's sucked into our world, and you see Homer by the ditch. He comes out, and he's in our world, and he doesn't know what to think. I wouldn't know what to think, and then he thinks with his stomach, and he finds the most random thing is, ooh, erotic cakes, which is just hilarious. The fact that he finds some weird, strange store like that. And yeah, that's your 3D episode, Homer in Los Angeles, which I thought was pretty funny. That's why it's in my top 3. I just think all 3 of these episodes are great, and this one's a classic. So where does this one rank on your top ones? Is it in the top 5? Is it top 3? Is it in your top 10? Let me know in the comments below. Hey, we're getting to the top 2. We're almost done with this countdown. And here's our number 2 episode. Now, a lot of people may say that this is the best one. I have it as my second ranked one, but a lot of people will flip-flop this one and my number 1 one. But number 2 is Treehouse of Horror 4. So Treehouse of Horror 4 has the Devil and Homer Simpson, Terror at 5.5 feet, and Bart Simpson's Dracula, which is just awesome. So, fun fact, Flanders as the devil gives us an iconic line, "It's always the one you least suspect." Yep. And Bart Simpson's Dracula pairs Bram Stoker's Dracula from 92 with a nearly identical costumes for Mr. Burns, which is just great. So let's get into these episodes because I just think they're fantastic. One of my favorite of all time. Homer sells his soul to the devil for a donut. The devil turns out to be Ned Flanders, which is just hilarious. Daddy's soul donut. He eats all of it but one little crumb, thinking he's tricked the devil, which is just funny because Ned turns into a big beast. "You have not fooled me." And so you get him there, and it's Daddy's soul donut, don't eat. This is where the devil tempts Bart. "Hey, Bart," and you get the outtake in one of the Simpsons episodes. And so Homer getting up in the middle of the night, eats the donut, and he's about to go to heck. When Marge says, "No, here's, it belongs to me," and they have a trial, and Ned is going to pick the jury. Meanwhile, Homer spends all of his time in hell, and apparently he's given the punishment of eating all the donuts he wants. You see it up here. The devil's got a machine that's feeding him more. It's supposed to be hell, and it's actually, he loves it. Anyway, so Marge finds a picture that says that she's been giving him the soul as his wife, and the jury, which is made up of a hockey team, Blackbeard, Lizzie Borden. Blackbeard's given the high chair the chair be too high, says I. Anyway, they ruled that Marge has the soul, and then Flanders basically says, but that donut will be cursed head, and turns Homer's head into a donut. And Homer picks at himself a little bit, and Marge is like, don't pick at yourself. And the funny thing is the cops are all waiting for him afterwards because they want the donut. But I love this episode. One of my favorites, The Devil and Homer Simpson. Okay, Terror at 5.5 feet is a takeoff on the famous Twilight Zone episode with William Shatner in the plane. Also in the movie, played by John Lithgow, Terror at 22,000 feet. This is 5.5 feet for the elementary school bus, and he sees a gremlin off the side of the bus. Nobody believes him. He goes to Otto. One of the funniest things, there's a gremlin on the side of the bus. And Otto's like, "No problem, dude." And it's the mole man driving a gremlin, and he kind of cuts him off, and The gremlin goes flying, but it's really this gremlin, and it's taking down the bus. Bart goes crazy trying to do all kinds of things to him. Just a funny episode. I mean, just hilarious. I mean, and in the end, he's in uh, the hospital. The ambulance wrapped up in the gremlin basically kills Ned Flanders, which is gruesome but funny. Just love it. I think that's hilarious. It's a lot of fun and funny. And then who would forget the classic Bart Simpson's Dracula? So Mr. Burns is everybody go. They're invited to his house in Pennsylvania, and so they get to his house, and he's going to have them for dinner. And Mr. Burns has the Dracula thing, and of course, Smithers is his servant, the Renfield character. And I love the fact that his shadow is doing the yo-yo, which is just hilarious. And they're drinking blood. And Bart has to go to the restroom, and he finds super fun happy slide. What the heck? And he goes in the coffin, and he and Lisa find it. And then, Lisa gets out. They find out they're vampires. Oh, what isn't little? Instead of Bart, he's little boy. And so Lisa gets out, but Bart shows up later, and she finds out that Bart's a vampire, and they have to kill the head vampire. Which is just hilarious. And they go to kill Mr. Burns, and Homer goes, super fun happy slide, which I think they cut that out on the reruns, but Homer pulls it. It's sliding door case back to Mr. Burns, and he's gonna Dad, that's his crotch. You're fired. And anyway, so it's just a lot of fun. It's a hilarious episode. A lot of people have this one as their number one. I don't know if Treehouse of Horror 4 is your number one. It's my number 2. It's a lot of fun. If you like this episode, it's an iconic. I think Mr. Burns is Bram Stoker's Dracula. Perfect timing on that. It's great. But let's go to my top one, my top spot. What do you guys think it'll be? Any guesses before we get to number 1, before I tell you? So coming in at number 1 in my top spot is Treehouse of Horror 5. It has segments that include the Shinning, Time and Punishment, and Nightmare Cafeteria. The Shining is so accurate that Stephen King himself praised it as one of the best parodies of his work, which is pretty interesting because Stephen King does not like hardly anything that was done that resembles his work. He didn't like The Shining. He doesn't like a lot of stuff. He actually likes Stand By Me, and that's one of the few films that involved his work that he actually liked. But The Shining was so accurate that he liked it. Nightmare Cafeteria, finally, where the fog turns everyone inside out, was considered too disturbing for some broadcasts overseas, so they don't show it, which I think is tragedy because I think it's hilarious. It's a perfect mix of horror, dark humor, and classic Simpsons wit. So yeah, well, let's get into this. Here's the poster, which is awesome. And yes, so they're going to the house that the hotel that Mr. Burns has, and they're going to be caretakers, just like The Shining. And Mr. Burns is like, no beer and no cable TV, which will ensue a healthy 6 months worth of work. And Smithers cautions him, I'll tell you what, if everybody's dead, I'll owe you a Coke. And so, they're exploring the grounds, and Bart kind of travels through the hedge maze, and Willie's like, be careful, the kid doesn't know that his dad's going to go crazy and kill everybody. And he's like, finds out that he has Shinning. And yes, the Sarge, do you want to get sued? You mean Shining? Do you want to get sued? So Homer's like, oh, I think I'll have a beer. Oh, I think I'll watch cable TV. And so he's going to do stuff, and no beer and no Homer, no beer and no cable TV make Homer something. Go crazy? Don't mind if I do. Anyway, he's told by Moe to kill his family in order to get all that stuff. And Marge gets the better of him. throws him in the freezer. And it's funny, he's eating everything in the freezer and then can't murder now eating. And Mo and all the ghouls try to get him out. And he's going after them. And Willie tries to help, but Willie gets killed. And then they're out in the snow, and Homer's going after him. And then they have the portable television. Television teacher mother, secret lover. Quick, change channel. Urge to kill rising. I love this episode. This is just funny, hilarious. I love Homer in this, and just the take on that Shining is just so funny and perfect. It's greatness. Time and Punishment is one of my all-time favorites. So Homer invents a toaster that can travel back in time. He travels back in time and sees Peabody and Sherman, and he goes back to the age of dinosaurs. And remember, don't do anything or it'll change everything. And so you got all the different realities. You have a reality where Ned Flanders is the head of the universe. You have a reality where they're all large people, and Bart and Lisa are giants. Hey, was that Dad? You have one where they live in a life of luxury, and it's raining donuts and everything. They don't know what donuts are, but it's raining donuts. It's like Homer's perfect world, but he goes crazy because they don't know what donuts are. And he goes through all the different ways to do this. He's like, oh, now I've screwed everything up. So he keeps going to the past and smashing things. And Willie's like, I can get you home, but you got to do this. And then this is indeed a disturbing universe, because in all these, groundskeeper Willie gets killed, which is just a funny side hack. And he finally ends up in a universe that's semi-normal, except everybody's got tongues that flicker out. They're like snake-like people. And he's like, close enough. But yeah, I love this episode. This is one of my all-time favorite shorts of The Simpsons, with the time machine. It's just great. And we get the final segment, Nightmare Cafeteria, where the adults find that the children taste. Yeah, they're replacing the meat in the cafeteria with the children, which is disgusting and funny. The joy of cooking Millhouse. Detention. You get detention, you become part of the next one. One of the ones is he has, German food day. I guess you could say Ooters in all of us, which is just hilarious. Just funny stuff. And you get them all in there, and the kids are about to be killed, and they wake up, and hey, it's all the dream, except for that fog that turns you inside out. And in the end is their dance number as inside out people. The dog gnawing on Bart's intestine, which is just funny as all get out. This is why it's my favorite. I think all the episodes are great in this one, and just you have that ending with the fog that turns everybody inside out. It's perfect. It's so much fun. Anyway, that's the top 12. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let's wrap this thing up with a pretty bow. So, folks, there could be several honorable mentions. Certainly got a lot of different ones that I certainly love. A lot of different spots, a lot of different things that could have been done. But, I think these are just my favorites of all of them. So what is your favorite? Do you have a favorite Simpsons Halloween episode? Let me know in the comments. I hope this is a great list. I hope you guys liked it. If you're just joining us, tell us what your favorite Halloween episode is. Which moment scared you the most, if there was a scary episode? Which one still cracks you up? Just let me know in the comments below. But folks, I would say that, enjoy these from Halloween. I think, when you go back and watch some of these, I think you'll find that they're so much fun to rewatch, so much fun to look. There are dozens more. So if we left something out, let us know. We'll mention it in a future stream. Let's have a great discussion below in the chats and afterwards. But folks, let me tell you what's coming up. So on Tuesday, I'm actually going to be streaming because somebody requested this. I was going to do just a video on Young Frankenstein, but I'm going to turn it into a live stream. So Tuesday night, about 8 o'clock Central, I'm going to do a live stream talking about Young Frankenstein. See if I can convince some of the guys for Pop Culture Breakdown to join us. I think we will have Pop Culture Breakdown on Wednesday. Doomcock's dealing with the family issue, health issue. So hopefully on Wednesday, we'll be back with Elvira and a whole bunch of other stuff. And then I haven't decided what we're going to do next weekend. I'm also going to do a video on the original Dracula from the 1930s starring Bela Lugosi. So that'll be posting up before Halloween. I haven't decided what I'm doing next weekend because Heather and I had to move the Pacific. We're doing the Pacific on the 9th of November. And then the following week, the 16th of November, is the hits of 1976. Still got to figure out what Western we're doing this month for November, and we'll get that to you. But folks, tune in on Tuesday night. Young Frankenstein is one of my all-time favorite Halloween movies. It's a must-watch every year. Love that movie. We're going to talk about it. Hopefully I'll get the guys to join me, and we'll see you on the next one. Folks, anything else, any other Simpsons episodes or anything, leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And thank you so much for being here. Thanks for putting up with me and my little bit hoarse voice. Hope you had fun. Don't forget to like and share this, and we'll see you on the next one. Take it easy, everybody.